content marketing metrics. So we'll start here with some of the sort of key areas, I think, under content marketing that you might consider that you'd be measuring, which is like social media, keyword tracking, and blog engagement. I suppose an interesting point to start is where do you start with all of these areas? Like, what are you looking for from social media? You could be looking at impressions, followers, all of it, what's important, and the same for your keyword tracking, like how are you pinning down exactly what you want to follow and what you want to achieve. And again, blog engagement, you could have a lot of people coming to your blog, but is anyone reading it? I suppose those are where do you start in trying to measure these things and really assess the effectiveness of your content?
Yeah, I can sort of break it down from the Cognism perspective and this has changed as well as we've grown in terms of what our goals are from each of the three here. But so if we just take social media engagement as one, this goes beyond just now our brand account. We look at social media engagement as engagement with all of our employees as well. So we are advocating for a lot of personal brand on employee accounts and utilizing some key people within the organization who have a lot to say that's relevant to our key buyer personas, and trying to utilize those as channels for engagement as well. So those statistics would differ if we're looking at the personal brand versus like our brand channel and what we're trying to achieve with the brand channel, and we would split those out. So for example, like my account, if I'm posting an article or I'm posting a post this week about a certain topic, we'll be looking at the impressions, the comments, the engagement that's getting, or using it as a steer for actually building out more content around those topics. And that's kind of how we're looking at it from the personal employee side. And then from the brand platform side, for us, you know, I think if you want to be successful at a channel, you really need to understand like the intricacies of it and what people are expecting within that channel. And it's become, I think we've got very good with LinkedIn. We haven't touched the surface on Facebook and Twitter. Like, I think there's a whole world out there that we need to engage in and understand more in terms of how to increase the engagement that we're getting on those platforms, but it's very specific to the channel. So now we track to the T the types of posts that receive the most engagement from our audience, and also the number of followers that we increase, and we break them out into, so we will have ones where it's like with a promotion post, link only, or promotional post, no image, video post, or like, and we get very scientific about it as well, and we understand now what our audience wants to see from us on our brand platform, and then like trying to double down on that. On the keyword side, it's not all about volume. I think for us, the way that we look at this is focusing on the high intent keywords, and how we know that we're succeeding is that we are converting that traffic that's coming to those pages on our SEO pages around those keywords, and we're converting them on the CTAs within the pages themselves, and we're seeing them actually become part of the sales funnel. So for us, like, it's not about a traffic play, it's a conversion and it's an intent play on the keyword side. That's the focus for us at the moment. And then on the blog side, as we've grown, this has developed. At the very beginning, we were a tiny team with one person writing all the content. It was a case of us thinking more from a demand gen angle. We needed to create content we could put into you know, gated content assets like ebooks, etc. And the blog content was just feeding into that because we couldn't do both. And it also was feeding into the keywords as well. So the whole thing was tied up together. We've now completely split that out because we've got a team of 4. And we've actually said what we want to focus on from a blog perspective is we want our content writers to be specialists. We want them to be journalists. We want them to go and find a story. We want them to be writing the latest and best in our category. And we don't want to just be writing 10 tools for X anymore, or, you know, that type of for Google content. And we're trying to write for being relevant, yeah, and looking at it from a journalistic perspective. So, and the change that we've made is we've actually made one of our content team fully focused on the problem of content distribution. So they are working really closely with our content writers now, and the way we'll track success here is if a piece of content that we write can be distributed and succeeds in engagement levels across platforms, and that will be seen as like a piece of content that's been successful from our perspective now.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we've been focusing because we have so many personas now in two distinct lines of business, and we're trying to create content to keep them all engaged. We're focused more on creating that path, that kind of critical content path where people are on our website, they stay engaged, and we can just keep relevant content being served to them throughout the funnel. I think we're looking at it more as a through the pipeline journey now, not just about content to bring people in and keep them engaged on the website, but also how do we keep them engaged through that funnel through very specific content, and also just arming the salespeople with the exact pieces of content they need for their personas. So we work really closely with product marketing to develop, target personas and content that are just really super effective. And yeah, we take qualitative feedback, quantitative feedback, and metrics on that too. But yeah, content, we're focusing on the journey right now rather than just, what content works for who.
Perfect. Yeah, the qualitative feedback is just as important as the numbers. You only need a few people to tell you something's really good, and then you know it really is good as well because they've actually taken the time to do it. And then I was going to go to you to this, Alice, because I know you're always advocating to sort of measure the content team in the same way that anyone else in the marketing team would be measured, and really trying to tie it back to revenue. So I was wondering if you'd go into a bit about that.
Yeah, so our content team is measured on an SQO and revenue target in the same way the rest of the team is, because the content they're producing is being used in our as campaign assets, which are being used, leveraged by the campaigns team to build the demand. Their keyword SEO content is going into those high intent pages I was saying, which we want to push to convert. So we actually run a lot of tests in sprints again in the content team on changes to those high intent SEO pages to see how we can actually move the dial on them in terms of conversions too. We track very closely the content type, where it sits in the funnel, and the amount of SEOs and revenue we get from it. We tie everything back from a content perspective, throughout the funnel. Some of it we are separating and saying this is for engagement, this is for awareness, this is not meant to be a revenue generating activity, and we'll actually come to it in a minute of how we track the correlation between those types of activities back to revenue still. But I guess the aim and the way I want my content team to be thinking is not that I've succeeded in my job if I've written 2 blog posts this month and they've been published. I want them to be thinking about how that content is helping the business and the marketing team deliver on their number every month.